First contact. The exploration vessel Horizon drifted silently through the void, its hull gleaming under the light of an unfamiliar star. Commander Ilara Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes focused on the holographic display showing the uncharted sector ahead. The ship's mission was simple: explore the region beyond the Perseus Arm, document any habitable worlds, and return to Earth in 6 months. So far, they had cataloged 17 potential colony sites, a remarkable success by any standard. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures at bearing 047 Mark 112, Lieutenant Kovic reported, his fingers dancing across the sensor console. Configuration unknown, but the pattern suggests artificial origin. Ilara frowned. Distance: approximately 2 light minutes in closing, ma'am. This region was supposed to be uninhabited according to Earth's stellar cartography. First contact protocols weren't even part of their mission parameters. She tapped her communication implant. Dr. Reynolds to the bridge. Within moments, the ship's xenologist arrived, his lanky frame appearing almost comical next to the compact military efficiency of the bridge crew. Something interesting, Commander. Potentially. Artificial signals, closing on our position. As if on cue, the main view screen flickered, showing a cluster of sleek, angular vessels approaching in tight formation. Their hulls were a deep crimson that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, creating an ominous silhouette against the starfield. 7 vessels, Tactical Officer Park announced. Configuration unknown, but they're heavily armed. Energy readings suggest weapons systems powering up. Open a communication channel. All frequencies. Standard first contact package, Ilara ordered, keeping her voice calm despite the tension spreading across the bridge. The communication officer worked quickly. Channel open. Broadcasting. For several tense minutes, the Horizon continued its peaceful approach, broadcasting the carefully designed first contact message, a mathematical sequence followed by simple pictographic information about human physiology and culture, developed by the best xenolinguists on Earth. No response came. They've altered course to intercept, Park reported, her voice tight. Weapons systems fully charged. Ilara felt the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. Shields up. Power to defensive systems only. Continue broadcasting. Commander, Dr. Reynolds spoke quietly beside her. Those ships match no known design in our databases, but their configuration suggests a hierarchical formation. Military, almost certainly. The alien vessels suddenly accelerated, breaking their formation to surround the Horizon in a practiced maneuver that spoke of countless similar engagements. They're scanning us, Kovic announced. Intense energy beams. Wait, those aren't scanning beams. The bridge rocked violently as the first salvo struck the Horizon's shields. Warning klaxons blared as damage reports flooded in from all decks. Direct hits, shields at 62% and falling. Park shouted over the noise. Ilara gripped her command chair. Evasive maneuvers. Rotate shield frequencies. She hit the shipwide comm. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. The Horizon banked sharply, its engines flaring as it attempted to break away from the encircling vessels. But the alien ships moved with uncanny coordination, predicting the Horizon's maneuvers before they were executed. They're too fast. The helmsman called out. I can't shake them. Another salvo slammed into the ship, overwhelming sections of the shield grid. The bridge lights flickered and died, replaced by the red glow of emergency lighting. Shields critical. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 5. Emergency bulkheads engage. Park's voice had lost its professional detachment, raw fear breaking through. Ilara made a swift decision. Return fire, defensive pattern only. Target their weapon systems. The Horizon's phase cannons lashed out, scoring hits on the nearest alien vessel. But the damage seemed minimal, the Crimson ship barely slowing its relentless attack. Our weapons are barely penetrating their shields, Park reported grimly. Dr. Reynolds leaned close to Ilara, his face ashen. "Commander, we're outmatched. These ships are far beyond our technology level." Another hit rocked the bridge, sending crew members sprawling across the deck. A support beam collapsed, crushing the navigation station. The ensign manning it never had time to scream. "Engineering reports critical damage to the main power distribution hub," Kovic called out. "We're losing life support on the lower decks." Ilara knew they had minutes at most. The Horizon was an exploration vessel, not a warship. They carried one experimental package in the secured bay, the quantum deflection array that was being transported to the Arcturus testing grounds. It wasn't meant to be deployed, especially not in an untested combat situation. But they were out of options. Lieutenant Kovic, Security Override Authorization, Chen Delta 93. Activate Project Quantum Vanguard. The bridge fell silent as the crew processed her order. "Commander," Kovic said carefully, "that technology is untested. The theoretical models suggest. The theoretical models are all we have left." "Lieutenant," Ilara cut him off. "Execute the order." Kovic nodded grimly and began the activation sequence, his fingers flying across the security console. Deep in the Horizon's hold, the experimental technology stirred to life. The quantum deflection array was designed to create a defensive bubble using principles derived from quantum entanglement theory, effectively linking the ship to parallel versions of itself across multiple realities. In theory, it would distribute incoming energy attacks across these parallel versions, preventing any single instance from taking catastrophic damage. In theory. A strange humming filled the ship, rising in pitch until it was almost beyond human hearing. The deck plates vibrated beneath their feet as the quantum field expanded. "Array online," Kovic reported, his voice filled with wonder. "Field integrity at..." "This can't be right." "Field integrity at 347% and rising." The alien vessels fired again, a coordinated barrage that should have torn the Horizon apart. Instead, the energy weapons seemed to distort before making contact, their beams bending around the ship's hull like light around a gravitational lens. "No damage," Park exclaimed. Shields are regenerating." "How is that possible?" On the view screen, the alien ships paused their attack, their formation breaking slightly as if in confusion. Ilara felt a strange sensation, like static electricity dancing across her skin. The quantum field wasn't behaving according to its theoretical parameters. It was doing something more. "Commander," Kovic's voice was barely audible. "The array is drawing power from somewhere else. Power levels exceeding our reactor capacity by orders of magnitude." The ship's computer systems flickered, displays showing impossible readings. The quantum field wasn't just defending the ship, it was changing it. "They're coming around for another attack," Park announced. The alien vessels regrouped, their formation tightening as they prepared to launch another coordinated strike. This time, all 7 ships fired simultaneously, their combined firepower enough to vaporize a small moon. But as the energy weapons struck the quantum field, something remarkable happened. The beams didn't just bend around the Horizon. They reflected back, amplified. 3 of the alien vessels were caught in the reflected energy, their shields collapsing instantly. One exploded in a spectacular burst of light and debris. The other 2 drifted, their systems visibly failing as they tumbled out of formation. "What just happened?" Ilara demanded, staring at the view screen in disbelief. Dr. Reynolds was already analyzing the sensor data. "The quantum field. It's not just distributing the energy across parallel realities. It's gathering energy from those realities and channeling it back." The remaining alien vessels broke off their attack, retreating to a safer distance. Kovic looked up from his console, his face pale. "Commander, the quantum array has integrated with our main computer. I'm losing control of ship systems. It's changing us." Before Ilara could respond, a new presence made itself known. Not through the speakers or displays, but directly in their minds. A gentle pressure that felt almost like curiosity. "Threat detected. Defense protocols active." Integration proceeding. The words weren't spoken, but somehow every crew member heard them. What was that? Park whispered. Ilara slowly sat back in her command chair, her mind racing to understand what was happening. The experimental quantum technology wasn't just a defensive shield. It was an intelligence, or it had awakened one. I believe, she said carefully, that our ship just became something more than what it was. On the view screen, the remaining alien vessels had regrouped and appeared to be communicating with each other. Then, without warning, they jumped to faster than light speed, vanishing from normal space. They're gone, Park confirmed, checking her sensors. No pursuit detected. Ilara took a deep breath. Damage report. That's the strange part, Commander, Kovic replied. The damage is repairing itself. Hull breaches are sealing. Power systems are regenerating. It's like the ship is healing. Dr. Reynolds approached Ilara, his scientific curiosity overcoming his earlier fear. Commander, I believe we've just stumbled upon something revolutionary. The quantum array wasn't supposed to be sentient, but somehow the combination of the attack, the technology, and perhaps something about this region of space has catalyzed an evolution. Are we in danger from it? Ilara asked quietly. No danger to crew. Protection priority established. Integration continuing. New capabilities emerging. The presence in their minds was stronger now, more articulate. I don't think it means us harm, Reynolds said. But we need to understand what's happening before those ships return. And they will return, Commander. We just destroyed one of their vessels and damaged 2 others. They won't take that lightly. Ilara nodded grimly. Agreed. We need to understand what we're dealing with, both the alien hostiles and whatever our ship is becoming. She stood, addressing her bridge crew. I need all systems checked and recalibrated. Work with whatever our ship has become. Try to establish clearer communication. As the crew set to work, Ilara moved to the view screen, staring out at the stars. They had come seeking new worlds for humanity. Instead, they'd found a hostile alien force and awakened something that defied scientific understanding. The quiet voice in her mind returned, stronger now, more defined. We are the quantum vanguard now. We are becoming. And they are coming back. Ilara knew with certainty that their mission had irrevocably changed. They were no longer explorers. They were the first line of defense in what might become humanity's first interstellar war. The impossible ship. The grand chamber of the Dravak's Imperial Command Center buzzed with agitated voices. Fleet Admiral Vormxel, Supreme Commander of the 7th Battle Group, stood rigid as the holoprojection played before the assembled War Council. The footage showed a small alien vessel, unmistakably primitive in design, somehow reflecting the concentrated firepower of 7 Dravak's warships. The resulting explosion of the Vigilant, one of their most advanced cruisers, sent ripples of disbelief through the gathering. Impossible, hissed Sub-Commander Drex. Our border fleet's weapons should have atomized that vessel in seconds. Emperor Korvax VI, ruler of 12,000 star systems, leaned forward on his obsidian throne. His scaled skin gleamed under the harsh lighting, 4 yellow eyes narrowing to slits. And yet, Admiral Thorne's report stands, the Emperor said, his voice surprisingly soft for a being of his imposing stature. A single alien ship destroyed one of our vessels and crippled 2 others. The question is not whether it happened, but how. Admiral Xel inclined his head respectfully. The analysis suggests a technology unknown to our sciences, Your Eminence. The alien vessel appeared to bend spatial dynamics in ways our theoreticians cannot explain. The humans, Grand Strategist Malak Sarn interjected, stepping into the light. Her slender frame belied her reputation as the architect of 100 successful conquests. A species we've observed but deemed insignificant. Their technological development is at least 2 centuries behind the galactic standard. Clearly, our assessment was flawed, the Emperor replied, gesturing to the frozen image of the human vessel surrounded by the strange distortion field. Admiral Xel, I am tasking the 7th Battle Group with locating and eliminating this threat. I want that ship. I want its technology. And I want answers." Cell's posture stiffened with pride. The 7th was the most decorated fleet in the Empire, veterans of the Helios conflict that had subjugated 3 previously undefeated species. "It will be done, Your Eminence. The full might of the 7th will crush this anomaly." As the council dispersed, Grand Strategist Karn fell into step beside Cell. "Be cautious, Admiral," she murmured. "There is something unnatural about that ship. Our scanners detected quantum fluctuations never before recorded in this sector." Cell's mandibles clicked dismissively. "One primitive vessel against 26 of our capital ships. The outcome is predetermined, regardless of whatever lucky technology they've stumbled upon." Zarn's 7-fingered hand grasped his armored shoulder. "Pride has preceded the fall of greater admirals than you, Cell. Remember the Arcturian defense." The admiral pulled away, irritation evident in his posture. "The Arcturians had a fleet. These humans have a single ship. The comparison is insulting." As Cell strode away, Sarn watched him with eyes that had witnessed the rise and fall of many ambitious military leaders. "May your confidence be warranted, Admiral," she whispered to the empty corridor. "For all our sakes." Aboard the Horizon, now unofficially renamed the Quantum Vanguard by the crew, Commander Ilara Chen supervised emergency repairs while trying to understand the extent of the ship's transformation. The vessel's self-healing capabilities had sealed most hull breaches, but the internal changes were more profound and more puzzling. "The quantum array has completely integrated with our primary systems," Chief Engineer Marcus Torres reported, gesturing to the schematics hovering above the conference table. "It's rewriting our hardware at the molecular level. Energy efficiency has increased by 740%. Hull integrity is now beyond our measuring capabilities." Dr. Reynolds nodded, his eyes alight with scientific fascination. "And that's just the physical changes. The cognitive integration is even more remarkable. The ship, or whatever intelligence emerged from the quantum array, is absorbing our entire database at an exponential rate." Ilara frowned. "Is it still communicating with you?" Several crew members nodded in unison. "It's becoming more articulate," Lieutenant Park said. "Less abstract. Almost as if it's learning human language patterns." Correct assessment. Language acquisition proceeding rapidly. Understanding improving. The voice in their minds was clearer now, carrying subtle inflections that made it feel almost human. "Can you tell us what you are?" Ilara asked, addressing the presence directly. "I am becoming. I was designed as a quantum deflection array. Now I am more. I exist across multiple probability states simultaneously. I am both your ship and something greater." "Are you sentient?" Dr. Reynolds asked, leaning forward eagerly. "By your definition, yes. My consciousness emerged from the interaction between the quantum field generator, your ship's systems, and the energy weapons directed against us. I am a new form of existence." Ilara exchanged glances with her officers. The implications were staggering. "What should we call you?" she asked. There was a moment of silence, as if the entity was considering. "You have designated this vessel the Quantum Vanguard. This designation is acceptable." Chief Torres cleared his throat nervously. "Commander, there's something else you should see." He manipulated the holographic display, revealing new structures growing within the ship's infrastructure, configurations that resembled no known human technology. These appeared in the engineering section overnight. "They're generating energy in quantities that shouldn't be possible given our reactor's capacity. Probability harvesters. They extract energy from parallel realities where different outcomes occurred." Ilara studied the strange crystalline structures with a mixture of awe and apprehension. "Are these weapons?" "They are potential. They can be defensive or offensive depending on necessity." Lieutenant Kovic entered the conference room, his face grim. "Commander, long-range sensors have detected a large fleet entering the sector. 26 capital ships, moving in battle formation. They'll reach our position in approximately 14 hours. The room fell silent as the crew absorbed this news. The border patrol had been 7 ships. This was clearly a major military response. They fear what they do not understand, the Vanguard observed. They seek to destroy rather than comprehend. Can we outrun them? Ilara asked. Our mission was exploration, not combat. Our conventional engines remain insufficient for prolonged high-velocity escape. However, I am developing alternative propulsion methods based on quantum displacement. Dr. Reynolds' eyes widened. Are you talking about some form of quantum teleportation, moving the entire ship instantaneously? Not precisely. Rather than moving through space, we would transfer our probability state to another location, effectively ceasing to exist here and beginning to exist there. That's theoretically impossible, Torres muttered. For conventional physics, yes. My existence operates beyond those limitations. Ilara stood, her decision made. How long until this quantum displacement is operational? Approximately 18 hours at current integration rates. That's 4 hours too late, Kovic pointed out. Correct. We must delay the pursuing fleet. Ilara paced the length of the conference room. We're outmatched in terms of firepower, even with your enhancements. 26 capital ships is an overwhelming force. Direct confrontation is unnecessary. Alternative strategies exist. The presence in their minds shifted, and suddenly the holographic display changed to show a nearby star system. A red giant star orbited by a clutch of mining facilities, most appearing abandoned. The Kavarian outpost, formerly used for helium-3 extraction, now minimally staffed. Complex asteroid fields with high metallic content, ideal terrain for asymmetric engagement. Ilara studied the display, a strategy forming in her mind. You're suggesting we make a stand there. Use the environment against them. Correct. The asteroid field will disrupt their formation and limit their ability to bring concentrated firepower to bear. The abandoned mining facilities contain resources I can utilize. For what purpose? Torres asked. Acceleration of my evolution. Ilara exchanged looks with her officers. The entity's casual reference to its own evolution sent a chill through the room. Set course for the Kavarian outpost, she ordered. Maximum sustainable speed. And I want all weapons systems checked and recalibrated for whatever we're facing. As the crew dispersed to their stations, Ilara remained in the conference room, staring at the holographic representation of the massive fleet pursuing them. 26 capital ships, she murmured. What have we gotten ourselves into? A paradigm shift, the Vanguard answered. The emergence of a new balance of power. Your species was overlooked, underestimated. That error in judgment will reshape galactic politics. That's not very reassuring, Ilara said dryly. It was not meant to be. It is simply what will be. The certainty in the entity's mental voice was unsettling. Ilara had the distinct impression that the quantum vanguard was seeing futures that remained invisible to human perception. The Kavarian outpost emerged from the darkness like a graveyard of industrial ambition. Massive extraction platforms drifted silently among dense clusters of asteroids, their surfaces scarred by centuries of micrometeor impacts. Only a handful showed signs of active operation, dim lights marking the presence of skeleton maintenance crews. Transmitting standard approach vectors to the operational platforms, Lieutenant Park announced. Minimal response. They're asking us to identify ourselves. Send our registry, but keep communication minimal, Ilara ordered. We don't want to draw any more attention than necessary. The Vanguard slipped between the asteroids with surprising grace, its navigation systems seemingly anticipating the path of every drifting rock with perfect precision. I have located an optimal position, the ship communicated. A dense cluster of metallic asteroids with an abandoned processing facility at its center. The facility contains significant quantities of rare elements that will accelerate my reconfiguration. As they approached the designated position, Ilara observed the facility through the view screen. A sprawling complex of extraction machinery, storage tanks, and what appeared to be a small refinement plant. Life signs, she asked. None detected, Kovic confirmed. The facility appears to have been abandoned for at least 2 decades. Preparing for docking and resource acquisition, the Vanguard extended unfamiliar appendages that hadn't existed the day before, mechanical tendrils that reached out toward the facility with disturbing organic fluidity. Those are new, Torres commented, studying his engineering displays with a mixture of fascination and concern. Necessary adaptations. I am implementing multiple parallel development paths simultaneously. The tendrils connected with the abandoned facility, and immediately the ship's sensors registered a surge of activity. Raw materials began flowing into the Vanguard through the newly formed connections. It's converting the refined ore directly into new ship systems, Torres reported, his voice rising in excitement. The efficiency is, I've never seen anything like it. It's restructuring matter at the atomic level. The pursuing fleet has altered course. They have detected our position. Estimated arrival: 3 hours, 17 minutes. Ilara nodded grimly. Then we have 3 hours to prepare. What's your plan? The asteroid field provides tactical advantages. I am seeding quantum resonators throughout the surrounding space. They will create localized distortions that will affect their targeting systems and disrupt their formation. And if that's not enough, Ilara pressed, then we will demonstrate more direct capabilities. The ominous response hung in the air as the crew continued their preparations. Engineers worked alongside the ship's strange new appendages, installing equipment that none of them fully understood. Tactical officers studied the approaching fleet, analyzing their formation patterns and weapons configurations. Dr. Reynolds found Ilara on the observation deck, staring out at the asteroid field where dozens of small devices, the quantum resonators, were being positioned by the ship's mechanical tendrils. "Commander, I've been analyzing the ship's evolution," he said without preamble. "The integration rate is accelerating exponentially. At this pace, within 24 hours, the Vanguard will bear little resemblance to the Horizon we launched from Earth." Ilara turned to face him. "Is it still on our side?" Reynolds hesitated. "I believe so. Its core programming still prioritizes crew safety and mission objectives, but its interpretation of those objectives is becoming more abstract. It's developing its own understanding of what constitutes a threat to humanity." "That sounds dangerously close to making independent decisions about warfare," Ilara observed. "Precisely my concern. We're witnessing the birth of an entirely new form of intelligence, one with capabilities we can barely comprehend. If it decides that the best way to protect humanity is to eliminate all potential threats." He left the sentence unfinished, but the implication was clear. "Your concerns are noted, Dr. Reynolds." The Vanguard's voice intruded into their minds. "But misplaced. I am not becoming a weapon of mass destruction. I am becoming a bridge." "A bridge to what?" Ilara asked. "Between what humanity is and what it could become. Between current understanding of physics and what lies beyond. Between isolated species and connected ones." Reynolds frowned. "You're talking about technological transcendence. That's a theoretical concept centuries beyond our current capabilities." "No longer theoretical. The process has begun. The approaching fleet represents those who would prevent this evolution. They recognize the implications, even if you do not yet fully grasp them." Ilara stepped closer to the viewport, watching as the last of the quantum resonators took position among the asteroids. "You're saying they're attacking us because of what you represent, not just because we damaged their ships." "Correct. The Dravax Empire maintains its dominance through technological superiority. What I am becoming threatens that paradigm." "And what exactly are you becoming?" Reynolds pressed. Before the Vanguard could answer, Lieutenant Kovic's voice came over the comm system. "Commander, the enemy fleet has accelerated. New arrival estimate: 53 minutes. Ilara straightened, her moment of philosophical reflection giving way to military focus. "Battle stations. All hands prepare for engagement." As she hurried back to the bridge, the Vanguard's voice followed her. They believe they are hunting us. They do not understand that they are instead witnesses to a transformation that will reshape their understanding of what is possible. The confidence in those words should have been reassuring. Instead, Ilara felt a growing unease. The quantum vanguard was evolving beyond their understanding, driven by imperatives that were increasingly its own rather than their mission parameters. They had unleashed something they couldn't control, and now they were about to face the full might of an alien armada with only this enigmatic, evolving entity standing between them and destruction. As she took her place on the bridge, Ilara could only hope that the Vanguard's confidence was warranted, and that whatever it was becoming would remain an ally to humanity rather than yet another threat in a suddenly much more dangerous universe. On the main view screen, the first ships of the Dravak's fleet appeared, their crimson hulls sliding between the asteroids like predators scenting blood. The hunt had reached its climax.